Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to this week's episode of Behind the Flame. My name is Sam. This is John Bartolo, your host. Today we have an awesome guest, Phil from Sergeant Max Gun Shack.
What's up?
Thank you, Sam. I appreciate it. We want to thank Kenzie's Optics, and we want to thank 221B Tactical for sponsoring.
Oh, yeah.
We appreciate them. We appreciate their sponsorship. I'm all jacked up on Bang Energy drinks and super excited to have this guest on. We're going to get into everything with this guy. Hopefully an hour is enough to cover all these topics. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. We have Phil from Sergeant Max Gun Shack. This guy has been shot out of a cannon on social media. He's literally got one of the most exciting gun stores and operations going on down in Texas. He's doing a lot of cool stuff. He has opinions on everything. He doesn't give a fuck. He's going to voice some of those opinions. I don't know where this is going to go and where to start, but I want to start, Phil. Before we get into it, a lot of people, know your story but don't know your story. So why don't we get into it a little bit and tell folks a little bit. I know you're an entrepreneur. I know you're doing 150 things. Why don't you tell us all, the Marine Corps, how you got there, how you got started. Let's hear your story a little bit before we get into the gruesome details.
Sounds good, John. Hey, first, thanks to Falcor and John for putting me on here.
You're welcome.
So I was a punk ass kid in high school, 17, living on the streets and the back of my 1987 Monte Carlo. And I'd always wanted to be a Marine, and kind of came time to shut up or put up. So I joined the Marine Corps when I was 17. Deployed to Iraq a couple times, Afghanistan. Really embraced the warrior culture. And I got hurt twice in Afghanistan. Took a round to the leg and hit with the RPG. So I ended up getting out. I was medically retired at 25, which is, I'm not going to lie, pretty awesome. And so, fuck, who else gets retired at 25, bro?
Here's the thing, man, is I love that reaction because I know some dudes that are like very quiet and reserved about their medical retirement. You're like, yeah, I got fucked up and now I'm retired and it's fucking awesome and life is great. There you go.
Yeah, it is. And so I got out and I started working, I got a Silver Star when I was in, so everybody threw work at me, and I appreciate it. I worked in corporate America for a while. It just kind of wasn't my thing. I don't like to bite my tongue, and I don't like when people just are fake. I'm transparent about everything. A lot of people say I'm crazy. I talk too much, but, that's me. So I got out. I hated corporate America, and I left my job. It was a great job, and I left it kind of just trying to reinvent myself and figure out what I was doing. And I ended up getting into the firearm business, doing some testing because of what I'd done overseas. Guys wanted to know what my thoughts were on firearms and the toughness of them, reliability, because we all know any firearm looks sexy, but if it's not reliable and accurate, it's kind of pointless. It's safe clean.
Well put.
So from there, I realized there's a big niche in the industry that nobody's really tapping, which is like a boutique gun store. Everybody's real corporate. Everybody wants to be a big, I'm not going to name anybody, but a big fancy gun store. Guess what, man? We have customers that drop $200K a year with us, but they want to come in and be one of the boys. They don't want to come in and have to wear their $60,000 Rolex to get good customer service and to be treated like one of the guys. So we started exemplifying that, and, my background's in sales, so I started pushing that hard for them, and it just kind of started growing. I did it as a hobby, and we went from thinking we were going to do like $10,000, $15,000 a month to just keep the doors open as a hobby, and next thing you know, a couple $1 million later in sales, we're getting pulled in every direction possible, So started social media in March. A friend of mine is all over social media, Tank. He came down, gave me some pointers, reached out to a couple other people. Kelly from Military Bastardry, Dion from F1, military boot, uniform humor, all the demographics that I can relate to. Obviously, that's what you do in sales. So it just started getting crazy. And people were like, do you really act like this all the time? And I was like, yeah, I've been doing this since I was 17, you know, the same way. I remember standing on the railing at Big Helen's, which is a 5th Marines bar in Southern California, screaming freedom, motherfucker. And, you know, it just kind of carried on from there. And I think people really want real individuals. They don't want people that are going to be different for social media. They don't want somebody that's going to say what they want to hear. They don't want somebody that's going to buy the things that are popular. I got a lot of hate yesterday for the burning the Nikes. I don't care. Whatever. Hate me. You know, it doesn't hurt my fucking feelings. You know what I mean?
They're your Nikes. You should be able to do what you want with them.
Well, so only 2 of them were my Nikes. I went and hung out with Dion, got a little crazy. And when I left, I took one of his flip-flops and one of mine. And one of my followers in the live was like, bro, you're wearing a Nike flip-flop. And I looked down. I was like, oh, fuck, I am. So I burnt one of Dion's flip-flops. I owe you a flip-flop, Dion.
Nice.
But, yeah, man, I'm just doing it. I love it. I got some of the first Caitlins that came out, one of the first Petras that came out. And I went to SHOT Show, saw the stuff I was trying to get it. In some back channels, I was able to get some of the first ones. And it's just a quality
Hell
product.
yeah.
And that's people I want to align with, you know.
Dude, sorry, go ahead.
And so when I do products, like I'm an asshole. I won't buy people's shit unless I destroy it first. You know, like I got almost the first 3 Caitlins actually, and one of them still just thrashed in my safe. I mean, thrashed. I drugged that behind my 4-wheeler at the ranch. I threw it off the building. I mean, I jumped one time in Afghanistan. I jumped off of a building with a rifle. So I'm doing stuff that like realistic. You know, I've seen guys get drugged behind vehicles, blow up, everything else. So. I fell in love with it, you know, and then I reached out to John and Alive. They're giving stuff away, and it's called the Mother of All Giveaways. And I said, well, how the fuck do you have a Mother of All Giveaways? That's some freedom. So I threw a 300 black in there, and that's when John and I had our little bromance, you know. And here we are now.
Was that when you were in Miami?
That was when we were in Miami. That was the night that the Freedom Brokers were born. So, yeah, that was an interesting night, to say the least. So, you know, Phil, that's a crazy story, and you kind of glazed over a few things there. You were in Iraq, and you took a round, and there's more.
Afghanistan.
Yeah. So you're in Afghanistan. You took a round. I mean, you know, not to sound like, you know, what you've heard before. I mean, that's pretty badass. I mean, not a lot of people lay it on the line like that. You know, what was going through your head, you know, over there, and when that all happened, and you go through that medically retired deal, which you said you're jacked up about. I mean, not a lot of people have that outlook and that mindset that you have, which I think kind of led you to where you are today, having that mindset of like, this is awesome, and I'm going to take this opportunity and parlay it into other things. I mean, you kind of glaze over that, where other guys kind of live in that world forever.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a chapter in my book, you know, of life, but it doesn't define who I am. It's what I do today that's going to define me. You know what I mean? Absolutely, it is an accolade to go slay bodies for our country and get shit done, right? And so I'll talk about getting hurt. The first time I got hurt, I was hit with the RPG. I was in a convoy. I was a convoy commander, and complex ambush, RPG, lodged through the window, and it broke in half, but half of it exploded. Shrapnel to my back, brain injury, broken ribs, whatnot. When it happened, it's almost a funny story. So when it happened, I hear on the radio, Sergeant Mack lost his legs, and I'm like, fuck, I'm Sergeant Mack. So I start looking down, like tapping my legs. I'm like, these motherfuckers are crazy. I got them. What's up, you know?
My legs
so
are good,
I see another RPG fly over our hood, and I hear I was a machine gunner and a rifleman, so I didn't hear our 240 going off. So I climbed up in the turret, and that was a dumb idea, because I didn't realize it was covered in blood and all fucked up, and tried to engage, and I just kind of fell back down. I was lightheaded, whatever. So I'm sitting in the vehicle commander seat, and I'm looking at rounds hitting the window, and I'm like, damn, it's my time. You know what I mean? And I locked the combat lock, which is a lock on the inside of the door, so you can't open it from the outside. I thought they were going to rush us, you know? And I hear somebody banging outside, and I'm like, fuck, dude, these guys are right outside my door. So my driver hands me a grenade, and I'm ready to pull the pin on this bitch, and I see Cassie Wiggins, which is our EOD tech. He jumped out of the vehicle behind me and came up to grab my ass because he heard on the radio I got hit. And so I unlocked it, and he drugged me out to another vehicle. It took a while to get a bird. We were in an area we shouldn't have been in. So, I mean, shit happens, right? And I got medevac to Camp Bastion. Well, I knew it was already combat ineffective. So I asked if I could stay, because if you're there for 30 days, they send you home. So I pulled some strength, got to stay, convinced them to let me go back out. I had to stay on the fob for about 2 weeks because I had stitches in still on my back. And that was I actually got blown up on the Marine Corps birthday, believe it or not.
Damn, really?
But so then I went back out and took over another line platoon squad. And a couple months later, I got shot in the fucking leg running through a tree line. And I thought I got stung, honestly. It wasn't a bad gunshot wound. It was grazing fire. Took a little meat out of my leg, the size of my finger. And I fell down. So I was consolidating my unit. I was in charge at the time. And I'm looking for a fire team and a scout sniper attachment I had. I couldn't find them. So I hear that they're pinned down in 2 separate locations. So I make my way to the first location, which is my fire team of riflemen. And they're like showing me, they're pointing at this ditch. And I can't see anything but a bunch of dust. These rounds are hitting me. And there's 2 scout snipers there pinned down. So I was like, look, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to run towards them, draw fire. You guys are going to get up, set a base of fire. Well, that was a stupid ass idea because halfway to them, I shot in the fucking leg. And I fell down, popped some smoke, and they fucking left me, dude. So they got to go because the smoke obscured. They went back to the consolidation point, and I was just chilling out alone and afraid. And so I got up and went back, and it was about an 8-hour firefight. It was pretty gnarly, but we killed a fuck ton of them. So that was our job. You know what I mean? I was the only casualty, so it was good.
Bro, that is an amazing story. I mean, I gotta ask, kind of 2 questions. One,
Sure.
how do you glaze over that? Not like, what do you say to the guys that kind of, they never move on from that moment? Because your mindset's amazing. Like you kind of talk about it laughing, and you're kind of like, hey, life goes on, and I got to now pick up the pieces and take over the world. I mean, I want to kind of stay there for a second because that talks a lot about your mindset. Do you think some guys when they come back, they're kind of stuck in that rut? And what advice do you give them to kind of move on and turn the page? Because it seems like you've turned the page amazingly. From going through all of that, getting hit twice, and now you're talking about taking over the world and building an empire.
So, when I got out, I had my struggles. People were like, oh, veterans drink too much. Well, I'm a fucking Marine. I love goddamn whiskey, so I drank a lot, and everybody had this image of me that I was an alcoholic, and I was like, no, I just like to have a good time. And so I said, I gotta prove to them that you can be successful and live this veteran culture, right? And I felt kind of obligated. Getting a Silver Star from the president was awesome. It wasn't for me, it was for my guys. They're the ones that really got shit done. But I looked at it, some aren't alive anymore, and I had some great mentors. And my very first mentor stuck with me. He actually passed away last year, but he told me one thing that sticks with me. And all the time, this just defines who I am. He told me, don't be a cunt. Like literally all the time, just don't be a cunt. And that's how it is now, guys. I love veterans. I do anything I can for them. But we have this, oh, poor me attitude right now in the country, and I fucking hate it. I'm a veteran's worst enemy when it comes to that shit. Yep. I'll call you the fuck out and blast you anywhere I can, you know what I mean?
Can't stand dudes that sit around feeling sorry for themselves, man. Get out and do something.
Man,
or they're like,
dude,
or when you think you're owed something because you're a veteran.
You're owed nothing, bro.
Yep.
You weren't in the draft.
Yep, you got paid on the 1st and the 15th, man. There you go. It was all volunteer.
Yep, exactly. Volunteer force,
I want to know more. Go ahead, sorry.
I still work. I'm still involved with the Marine Corps. Obviously, I was in some of the most influential battles in the Marine Corps, so I want to pass that knowledge on to some of the young war fighters that don't have the chance to go out there and hook and jab it, because they have to live through our experiences to train and learn. And so when I see these young kids fucking out there getting it, it just turns me on, man. I'm like, there's nothing that can stop me. These guys got balls of steel. They don't know what they're getting into, but they're volunteering. Mm-hmm. So if I'm out here on the civilian side and I'm representing the veteran culture, and I'm sitting here saying, oh, man, the VA's fucked me. Trust me, they have. They still do all the time. Doesn't matter, though. You're not going to hear me bitch about that shit. I mean, a huge legal battle from now. I don't give a fuck, though. I'm not going to waste my time or y'all's time to talk about that. What did you do for me today is what I want to know. And, I mean, I definitely think, veterans have a big demographic in our industry. I think they're probably the most influential and financially driven demographic because of the firearms and what we learn about them and how we bond with them. But at the same time, we have to get over that stigma and fucking feel sorry for me. I don't care. I don't care if you're missing your legs. I don't care if you're burnt the fuck up. I don't care. I mean, I have guys that are like that. It's no disrespect to them, but you got to move forward. You know what I mean? And it's tough. There's days I wake up and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? And reach downstairs, grab a pair, and, get the fuck up.
So that's obviously great advice, and I know you and Tank, it's been kind of your mission to help some of these guys transition, to everyday life, and you see it, not just in military life and law enforcement everywhere, guys who put 20 years in on the road have trouble transitioning to the regular deal, and a lot of them gravitate towards whether it's instructing.
Hey, let me interject real quick, though. Let me interject. You said a word that I want to capitalize real fast, John.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Transition. You're in law enforcement, you get it. There shouldn't be a fucking transition. You should be able to be who you are. That's got to stop thinking they have to get out and be a civilian. You're not a civilian. If you're a cop, you're not a civilian. You're never going to be a civilian again. Your mindset has changed. It will always be different. Embrace that. You work hard to build that community. Don't change. I don't want to be some fucking weak-ass, pussy, goddamn civilian that's running around here. Oh, I need my Starbucks and I want to wear my jeans that are 30 times too small. No, I'm a warfighter. It's in my blood. I'm a warrior. There will be a legacy because I'm a warrior. That's just how it is. Whether you're a cop, you're a veteran, it doesn't matter. You have to stop trying to change to be a bit of mantra for somebody else. You have to be you. And when you start accepting who you are and embracing it, your life gets a lot better. A lot fucking better.
So you get it out of the Marine Corps, you kind of go through that period of transition like we talked about, and you get into the gun business. And I know you had other businesses going on, but we'll stay focused there. So you get into the gun business, you start Sergeant Max. Let's kind of jump to that. What do you love, now that you're getting deep into the social media component of the business, tell us, and your listeners, what do you love and hate about social media as it relates to the 2A community, the community in general? Give us your thoughts kind of on, I know it's going to run deep, but don't go too far into the social stuff. We'll get there.
So the number one thing I hate about Instagram and Facebook, right, is I'm an in-your-face type of guy. And if you want to talk shit, don't do it shit on social media. I offered to buy a guy a first-class plane ticket and a 5-star hotel because he said he's going to fuck my wife. I said, well, come on, try and pull that dick out. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
It drives me nuts. If you got a big pair of balls and you want to be real, I gave him my American Express on Instagram. I said, do it. Nope, he apologized.
Dude, it's like,
you know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, it just is what it is. So here, I'm going to keep that going. I'm who I am, and if you want to say something, say it, but you better be ready to understand there's consequences for every action, every set of words you put out there.
Yeah, so people start running their mouth because they're comfortable behind their phone screen and their thumbs tapping away. And, we've all been guilty of it, just kind of like letting it getting out of control a little bit. But folks do that on the reg, and they're out there on all these pages just trolling and making comments about how they're going to fuck your wife and how they're going to beat your ass and all this stuff. It's like, cool. And when someone says, I'm going to fly you out here and put you up in a hotel and let's see you try and do it. Then they're like, oh, I wasn't being serious. It's just a joke, man. Come on.
One of my favorites, Phil, is, I've had very notable beefs on social media. Without getting too far into it, I see these people at shows after, and they walk right by me like I'm not even there, and they don't even, or they say hi and shake my hand like they're my best friend, and I'm just like, somebody's off their meds. I'm like,
hey,
be shitting.
Talk all the shit you want on social media, but you better be ready to back it up because one day we're going to cross paths.
I don't, anyone who knows me, who's followed me long enough knows I don't take my beefs to social media. Everyone knows where I am. My address isn't hard to find. I'm sitting in Falcor in Kalispell, Montana right now. I'm not too difficult to find. Hey, you're more generous, man. He drives
the black F-150 Raptor out front.
Yeah, I drive the Raptor out front.
Be that bitch!
Yeah. I'm not hard to find. I mean, there's one little caveat to that. If I'm nothing, and everybody likes to say, oh, he's nothing, he ain't shit, then I must be real easy to take down, just don't bite off more than you can chew. Yeah. But I've had my issues with social media and the struggle with it in the community, but maybe what do you love about the community?
So what I do love about it is that I can have an influence, right? I help people to have a bad day. Whoever says you're not having, you can go through life without a bad day, is a fucking liar, right? You're going to have tough times. There's adversity. That's what builds character. Builds internal fortitude, So I have them sometimes. And then guys will, like the other day I made a post put like 10 pictures up, and it's from like my first deployment all the way to burying 29 guys in a day, you know? And so this guy hits me up and he goes, you know, hey, Mac, are you struggling today? I said, not really. I just missed the Marine Corps. He goes, well, I'm struggling. So I love to interact with them. I'm probably one of the only pages that I will answer every message. I'll like every comment. And I've been sending video messages back, and they are so appreciative of it. It motivates me to continue to do it. So I sent him a couple video messages, and I said, fuck it, dude, call me. I got like 4 cell phones. So I gave him one of the numbers. He calls, and he's like, hey, man. And he wasn't suicidal or anything. He's just like having a tough day. I said, look, what's your tough day about? It was hilarious. So the receptionist at his office spilled coffee, right? And he was helping her clean it up, and she gave him a hard time. And he got talked to by the boss because he told her to stop whining, you know? And he's like, what the hell? I got talked to by HR because I told somebody to stop whining. He didn't curse her, he called her bitch, nothing, you know, just stop whining. And I was like, man, look, here's the deal. If you want to be that guy, stay at that job. If not, quit. So he quit.
and it's funny.
I told the dude to quit his job, and he did. That's so fucking awesome.
You know, it's really funny you bring that.
He's happy as fuck, though. I video chat him every day, and he's so happy. I get his voice.
You know, Sam will attest to this. We touched on some of that today, even right in the sales room. You know, you have to love what you do, and you have to be happy with what you're doing. And you know, I'll say this, and I know Sam has his points. You know, there's a lot I love about this business. It can be a great community. But I think what happens is, and this is a pro and a con, and I'll let you kind of answer, Phil, and then we can stem into some other stuff. You get too much ego in it. Everybody wants to have an ego. And when you're around dudes that are very secure and females that are very secure in who they are and what they're doing, and they know where they're going in life, and they have direction, that ego kind of subsides. Yeah. And those that are with you, you know, I've used the analogy all the time. We're all in a car together, right? When you form a circle, you're all in a car, and you're all going in the same direction. The car crashes when too many people try to grab the wheel and steer the car. Just let the car take its natural course, and sometimes you're the guy in the back seat, sometimes you're the guy in the trunk. You know, you have team members around you and guys around you, they're just happy to be in the car. And sometimes you have to, there's a season for everything under God, right? You know, you have to sometimes have that season of kind of, I'm the number 2 guy and I'm not the number 1 guy, or I'm, you know, coming up the ranks and I'm trying to figure it out. So you have to take the time to kind of, you know, enjoy the season that you're in. And as you kind of elevate your game and you get to a certain level, you know, it's like everybody says, everybody wants to be the boss, right? Well, when you're the boss or you're the quarterback, all eyes are on you. And a lot of pressure comes with that, and you have to perform. And when you're responsible for other people's paychecks, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. You know, when I started out, a lot of people would look at me and they'd say, oh, he's just a guy running around a range, or he's just doing this, or he's just that, he's just this. Everybody wants to put bumpers on you. Male gun buying. Everybody wants to limit you. Nobody knew anything about what I was doing. Gun buying. You know, nobody knew what I was. Nobody knew what I was doing behind the scenes, or the reach I had into the business. And I mean, you know, I'm not as good looking as some people, but like me. But I think, you know, I think you have to. Bro. I think people just have to know where they fit in the puzzle of this business, and sometimes they have to accept, okay, hey, you know, I'm this guy. Like, I look at guys like you and Tank, and you're huge inspirations to the veteran community, and you're huge inspirations to those guys trying to transition and find success outside of the veteran community and still give back to that community. Mm-hmm. And I think that's so important, and I think it gets so lost in translation with some folks. You know, let me ask you this. I mean, one of the frustrations I have all the time, and you have a tremendously deep background, is people obsess over, you know, he's not SEAL enough, he's not ninja enough, he's not this enough, he's not that enough. What do you say to the guys out there that have that attitude of, you can't be in this business unless you were a Marine Corps guy and you were shot 9 times? I mean, I want to hear it from a guy who's been there, done that, and then some.
Who is the Marine Corps guy that did get shot 9 times?
Yes.
Theoretically.
So here's the deal, man.
I got some questions after this.
There's certain things in the industry that people don't have the opportunity to understand. I mean, no offense to any of you guys, but how many of you have been shot at, you know, thousands and thousands around? You haven't, right? So there's certain things that you're not going to experience. But to tell someone they can't do something because they don't have the past experience is a fucking joke. You know, I couldn't have been a Marine if that was the case. Well, how do you become a Marine? where does that experience come from? You have to get out there and grind it out, And when you start cutting people short and don't give them opportunity to live their life and pursue their goals, and you're throwing shade at them every day, you're just fucking detrimental to our society. You know what I mean? I mean, the Second Amendment community is what I like to call it, is fucked up right now. With all these little subcultures and cliques and everything, this demographic, veteran, law enforcement, black, white, hip hop, country, all this shit. What the hell is the fucking problem? I mean, look, guys, we all love guns. We all hate fucking terrorists. You know what I mean? What the hell's wrong? Why can't we just put that together and get shit done?
I love guns.
It's a big problem. That's why
Hell yeah. That's awesome. No, you hit it right on the head. I don't have much sympathy for the veterans, whether they have extensive combat experience or no combat experience, that feel sorry for themselves when they get out, saying that they need, they just can't get their shit together and they fucking mope around and can't do anything. It's like, dude, if you're gonna sit there feeling sorry for yourself, don't expect anyone else to want to come by and make it better for you. Like, you have to take the first step, even if that means reaching out to someone saying, "Hey, I need help with something," even if that's the first step.
Just like my boy said, don't be a cunt.
Yep.
It goes a lot of directions, that phrase.
Exactly.
I literally live my life by that phrase. It sounds crazy and it's vulgar, but it's the truth.
Don't be a cunt. All right. Nice. So let's talk about the Gun Shack. So I'm interested in how you set up and run your business, because I've always had this thing in my head about a high-end, like, curated buying experience for the I don't want to say the boutique customer, but you know what I mean, like the guy that doesn't have necessarily the amount of time to go in and shop around for stuff. They want to know that they're getting the best stuff. They want to be catered to, and they just want to get their stuff and go to the range and shoot, instead of going in obsessing over a wall of freaking guns and all this and that. So tell me more about what you guys do there.
Okay, so the way this goes down is that you got to dumb it down and make it acceptable. Everybody in their life is going to have anxiety and insecurity. It's the fear of the unknown, right? And when they come in, I will laugh at people if they try and tell me right now that people that come to a gun store for the first time aren't intimidated. Especially when you have someone like me behind the counter, or $300,000 worth of high-end firearms sitting there. They don't know dick about. You know what I mean? So you have to bridge that gap, right? Once you bridge that gap, you have to build their trust and their respect. Okay, now that's where my veteran status comes in. They trust and respect my opinion. So I have guys that just tell me, what's the new thing? What's the best? Let me know. They don't come in. I just ship that shit. They trust me. You know what I mean? And that's something that you guys as a manufacturer, I think, can capitalize on. A lot of manufacturers, F1, I was talking to Dion about this. You cannot sit there and build a product and act like it's the best unless you're going to prove it. Now, I see you guys out there shooting your stuff. I've shot it, I get it. But guys like me on the retail side have to have that respect. So if you're not a veteran like me, or you don't have a background like me, then you need to get out there and you need to start shooting. You need to start showing them that you are the real deal. Doesn't take getting shot to be the real deal. You know what I mean? Hey, John, real quick, send Dion the link so he can watch the podcast. He's texting.
What, he can go to our Facebook page and see it. It's right there.
I'll send it to him.
Hey,
keep going.
Text him, John.
I will. Keep going.
Okay, so with that, you can't just carry the high-end stuff. You got to cater to everybody, because guess what? I'm not going to leave the low man out that doesn't have $100,000 to spend a year on firearms. Sure. But I'm not going to carry junk. And I'm some shade right now, Taurus, but there's like one Taurus firearm that I'll carry. It just is what it is. But if you see F1, Falcor, SIG, Wilson Combat, stuff like that, I got multiples of every freaking SKU I can get, because it's the top quality stuff, and that's what I want my customer to have. I want them to feel like I don't have to worry about getting the best thing. I'm not going to Academy, a box store, and buying freaking Delton AR.
They know when they say, "Hey, I want to get a 308 semi-auto."
On everything.
Yeah, you're going to give them the best stuff. That's awesome.
Exactly.
So, Sergeant Max Gun Shack's chugging along. You developed this buying experience. I took a few notes, and kind of take me through. What you brought up F1 and you brought up Falcor. Without getting into too brand specific, what do you look for in a high quality item? Like, what does a guy like you who's been there, done that, You probably carried what, Knights overseas or something along those lines. What makes
FN,
FN Knights? I
all kinds
figure.
of stuff.
What do you look for in something? I mean, of course, we all want a little bit of aesthetics, right? Obviously, we buy with our
Yep.
eyes. But take me through kind of
Yep.
your process of like, hey, this is a good SKU, and I'm going to carry it.
All right, 2018, right? We have the ability to do whatever the fuck we want. Technology, innovation, engineering, it's there. So yes, it has to be sexy. I mean, I'm gonna tell you right now, like, I want everything to be fucking sexy. You know what I mean? It's gotta have a bitch and paint job. It's gotta be look cool. It's got nice lines. I want to fucking make love to it. You know what I mean? That's what I want in my firearms. That's not the first thing, but I wanted to hit on the aesthetics because you brought up, and a lot of guys shy from that. It's like, why does you want stuff that works? Well, half those knuckleheads don't even know what the fuck works or how to operate it properly. So obviously, durability and reliability are the first thing. Even if it's not as accurate, but it's more durable and reliable than everything else on the market, it's going to get you out of a gunfight. Straight up. So that's my number one. My number two is going to be accuracy or precision, I should say performance, okay? Performance out of the firearm. I'm not going to buy a firearm that looks like a Ferrari and runs like a fucking Honda. You know what I mean? It ain't going to happen. I'm not going to drop money on it. And then the last one's going to be the aesthetics. And that's how I do my buying. We buy, over $1 million a year. It is what it is. And if you guys know small gun stores, that's a lot of people don't do that. And we just, like I said, we got 50 grand in F1s coming. Hopefully Falcor makes their way out here, John, and pitches me. And we'll get some of that stuff in there, It's number one, reliability. Number two is performance. And then third is aesthetics. And with the performance, I'm looking at functionality. To use one firearm, for example, let's talk about the CZ Scorpion Evo. Badass gun. I'm a big SIG fan. It competes with the FPX. Only problem is that safety is a freaking joke. They got to fix that shit, And there's things you can buy. It's MP5 safety. It's old. It's outdated. It just doesn't work well. So that ergonomic there is not good. And I tell my customers, I don't talk things up. And forget the negatives. So if I tell them there's a great rifle out, a great pistol, I'm going to go through the positives first. I'm going to hit the negatives. I'm going to go back to the positives. It's sales. I'm honest, transparent, but at the same time, they're knowing every detail about that firearm. So when they buy it, they're not uninformed and go to the range and look like a jackass,
I'm going to ask you the $1 million question.
I'm making you a gun expert when you buy a fucking gun from us.
Okay, I'm going to ask you the $1 million question for gun stores. Is the guy behind the counter a good guy to take advice from? And if you were to dispense that advice, how would you give it to a first-time buyer?
Okay. Number one, do your research on the firearm store because 90%, you're right, it is, Ryan, but I'm about to crush it for him. 90% of gun retailers, firearm retailers in the country are a joke. You hear that? All y'all, most of y'all motherfuckers suck.
You're getting called out.
You sell garbage. You don't stand behind it, okay? You're getting called out right now. So, yes, do your research on the store. That's why we're exploding. We've been in business less than 2.5 years. Tomorrow will be our 2.5 year mark. And it is what it is because we're just transparent and real. So,
honestly,
do your
man,
research.
Yeah, I've got.
Once you find a store that you can correlate with, you can create a bond. Go ahead.
No, I know exactly what you mean. I judge a gun store. You can tell what type of shop it is within a minute of walking in there. You're exactly right. So please continue. I like where you're going with this. Continue.
You're right. And I'll tell you, those guys at the counters, half of them don't know shit. Shit. I make my guys get back there and clean guns, the salesmen. You want to know why? Because they know how to fucking take it apart. Because guess what that customer's going to ask you at the counter? Well, how do I disassemble this?
Yeah, how do I take it apart?
How embarrassing is that your fucking salesman can't disassemble a firearm? I'd fire that bitch right on the spot. Straight up. You're fired. Get the fuck out.
Yes.
So, what advice would you give to gun stores owners to improve?
Be transparent. Go ahead and bite the bullet. Spend the money on the quality stuff. It takes time to build that demographic that's going to get the quality stuff. Okay, but once it starts flowing, you're going to see your business boom. People are going to start to talk. I'm in Houston. I'm in Houston right now. The store's south of Houston. Okay, Houston's one of the largest cities in the world. It is the mecca of energy for the world. I think there's more energy revenue dollars here than pretty much anywhere else in the world, right? I own half the fucking city's market. I live on an island 45 minutes south. I have people come from Austin, Dallas, San Antonio, because they know that we carry the good Gucci shit. There's other stores that do it, but they're just putting it up there. They don't know shit about it. They don't know how to take it apart. They don't know why the coatings are the way they are, why these certain cam pins. They're just hearing the brochure. They don't actually get out there and test the firearm. They read the brochure that's pitched to them, and they just regurgitate it. They don't understand it. They're just repeating what they fucking hear. You know what I mean? It's a real problem in the industry.
And that's, part of the, I'm glad you
don't be that guy.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up some of these points, because that's part of the reason why I started the podcast and I started flying guests out and I started bringing people in for this Behind the Flame campaign, is I want people to come in and kind of taste the batter, for lack of better words, and kind of see what was going on here and what we were doing here. And I wanted to bring in dealers and three gunners and folks that kind of could spend some time walking around the shop floor, see the machines running, see the rifles being built. And I realized along the way, having Ashley out here, Mikey Coonahan, No Donuts here, and having Bruce out here, and some folks that I respect, Suresh from 221B Tactical, and now having you on the show, I wanted to get people to kind of have an understanding for what we were trying to do here. It was a deeper meaning. Do you feel more manufacturers should do something like that?
First off, John, am I too fat to get a plane ticket out there or what, bro?
No, you can come out here anytime, but you're too busy partying in Houston and staying in high skyscraper buildings, and you know what I mean? Living the good life.
We live a simpler life out here in Montana.
So,
anytime, though.
John, you're going to extend it. But I think that all manufacturers should have an open door policy. I really do. I know it sucks, and we're now getting into defense contracting. So I understand there's some things that people can't see. But it's very easy to put up a temp wall and say, hey, you can't fucking go there. You know what I mean?
Right.
But the culture of these manufacturing facilities is where you're going to get the vibe of the company, where you're going to get the understanding of their mission, their goals, their heart behind it. Because if they're not truly in it, you're going to be able to tell when to get in there. If they're not passionate when they're talking to you, then they're not really there for anything else but your fucking money, man. And you need to leave. And you need to walk the fuck out of that facility.
And what kind of comes off of that is, Bruce touched on this, working for global brands. What advice do you give? Because we get tons of DMs, and I'm sure you do too. What advice do you give to guys out there?
1,700 yesterday.
Yes,
it was horrible.
1,700. What advice do you give to folks that are trying to get into the gun business, whether it's work for you or work for a manufacturer? Bruce said, pack a bag and try to follow me. That was a bold challenge. You know what I mean? He said, basically, pack a bag, find me at a show, and see if you can keep up. And this is from a 50-plus-year-old dude who's like, see if you can hang. And he's a former Marine, and you guys all have that same mindset. What advice do you give to guys out there that are like, hey, I really want to work in the gun business. I'm sick of being in my cubicle. I want to come work for you, John. I want to come work for you, Phil. Like, what advice do you give for them? Do they show up at Sergeant Max with a backpack?
So here's the deal, guys. We all know the firearm industry is big, like $14 billion last year in commercial sales in the U.S. Guess what, though? Margins aren't big. We're in it because we love it. We love our rights. We love what we stand for. We love everything we do and the image that we get to put out there and help people. So first off, don't plan on getting rich in the gun business unless you're Dion in F1. Okay.
They just say, what's the quickest way to make $1 million in the gun industry?
Spend it.
Start with two. Start with $2 million.
No, and that's the second thing I was going to get at. If you want to start your own business, you better have some bank. Let me tell you, Sergeant Max is out and growing our capital every fucking month, and I just now outran myself, so I'm on the road. I'm hitting people up. I have no problem being transparent. Starting October, I'm going on a road show to start raising capital to open our next store. It is what it is. And so it takes a lot of money. So when you guys want to come to me or come to John and be like, hey, I want a job, I'm not a dick just to be a dick, but there's a lot of people that rely on me. So there's not a lot of money in it when you first get in. And I'm going to correlate that to my Marine Corps experience. I was a boot private, 17, 18 years old, making $498 every 2 weeks after taxes.
Hell yeah.
It sucked, bro. It sucked. So when these guys come in and they tell me they want $25 an hour because they sold guns at Cabela's, I just laugh at them. They're like, you're an asshole. Well, I guess I am. Get the fuck out. You can't expect. It's entitled behavior. It's nationwide. It's not just one demographic. I know I hit on the veterans earlier. I'm always hard on them because I am one. But you got to be hungry, man. You got to be willing to get dirty. You got to be willing to sleep in your fucking car. You got to be willing to hit the road. You got to be willing to fucking clean guns, work on guns, pick up trash, clean the fucking toilet, mop the floor. You got to prove yourself to me if you want to walk one day in my shoes.
I can't agree more. I mean, I try to explain to people when people hit me up, I say, do you understand that I started out on dog shit ranges, traveling around, covered in mud and piss, and just bouncing around, going to the academy. I did everything I could and, spent my own money traveling, going coast to coast, visiting manufacturers, visiting shops, consulting with brands, scraping together money. It took a long, long time. It wasn't just someone came up to me. Before I got the blessing and the keys to the building here, it was a while before I felt like, okay, I kind of know something. And granted, I had, roots in finance, and I understood, the tactical side enough that I could parlay that into the next move and the next move and the next move. But people think it's an overnight thing, and it's absolutely not. I think Bruce brought it up. He worked for Quest for 6 months for free. I think, he brought that up, and he became an equity guy, involved with the brand at the very, very ground level. And he was, Marine, LAPD, and then transitioned to being a brand guy and a brand guru. Just picking you guys' brains and some of these guys that have the understanding and the knowledge that you have, and the journey and the struggle, it's not easy. That's the biggest thing I say. It is not easy. You have to be willing to pack a bag. Like people say all the time, I want a job. I'm like, we're in Kalispell. Pack a bag. I'm not going to go so far as Bruce or maybe.
Well, you definitely started at a disadvantage. I mean, let's just keep it real.
Sure.
If I walk in a room and you walk in a room, this is not a dick measuring contest by any means. I respect you, John. I walk in a room and you walk in a room with a bunch of guys, warfighters that buy guns and whatnot. I mean, if I really want to be a dick, I'd be like, hey, Silver Star, I'm fucking war heroes.
Of course.
You had to go and fucking learn that trait at your own dime. Government spent millions of dollars on me. Let me shoot millions of rounds, weapon systems that guys would never, ever touch in their life.
Absolutely.
Right? So when I see guys that were not veterans or were veterans and didn't really do much, and they grind it out and get there, dude, that's motivation. I got to be better.
Yeah,
that's
I mean, you're not talking shit. You're talking truth. And I got much love for that. And that's what I try to explain to people. But it's not easy in any respect. You can even have every medal and everything. I mean, of course, it's the age-old story, Phil. When you sit at a table and everybody pulls out their dick, like you're saying, and there's that one guy in the room that says, well, I'm an astronaut. Of course he has the trump card over everybody. You know what I mean? Short of maybe a Medal of Honor winner.
Except the dude that's a Navy SEAL and an astronaut.
Yeah, I mean, we always joke, what is it, space door gun or whatever. It's tough.
Hey, I'm trying out for Space Force. No shit. Hey, Jim Mattis, I'm right here, bro. Bring me back. Got me a coda.
It's tough to, and what Phil's getting at is, of course, it's going to be incredibly difficult to overcome Neil Armstrong in a room. When you walk in a room and there's that one guy that says, well, what did you do last week? I landed on the moon. It's tough you're not going to overcome that. But everybody has a story to tell, and it takes time to shape that story. And whatever that story is, you have to use that to your advantage. Your resume should always be the best version of you, but you should also, always take into consideration your journey and where you're going and what you're trying to accomplish. And you hit something on the head that Bruce touched on. You have to have passion for it.
Real quick, Dion, those pictures are explicit, and I cannot put them up here, brother.
No. If Dion's involved, no pictures.
We can say fuck on this podcast. We just can't show any titties. I think so. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. I don't actually know what the rules are.
But with what you said there, I'm gonna keep saying this, and it gets misconstrued. Okay, I'm a veteran. There are some guys that have some amazing accolades, 10 times what I have. Right? Love the shit out of them. I'm there for them. You know what I mean? And that gives them a platform to start. They're ahead of you, like I said, when they have that. But at the same time, once you're in the circle, once you're in the industry, what's up, motherfucker? What'd you do today? Mm-hmm. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, and you can't cling to things because, and I'm gonna, I don't like to touch on the veteran stuff. I stay in my lane. A lot of people like to cling to things I stay in my lane. You know that. A lot of people like to cling to things too much. They like to say, hey, I was, 10 years doing this, or I was a 20-year Leo guy. And you can't hang on to those things because pretty soon that story is going to get old. I had a former Delta who shot for Falcor in the past. Jim Irwin said to me, he looked around the room and he goes, what people don't realize is we're all retired. Even if you are a part-time Leo, everybody's retired. You know, you can't walk around. If you go up to a SHOT Show booth or an NRA booth, even if you had Sergeant Mack's booth there, and you say, you know, I was this 15 years ago.
Cool, it's been 15 years
Yeah,
since that.
you're
What
going
have
to
you done
nod
since
your
then?
head and you're going to be like, okay, like, what have you been doing since? You know, I sense a hole in your resume.
Yep.
So my GM, Jerry, y'all have met him. Yeah, he's in Thailand right now. He sold a bar he's 20 years Special Forces, 18 Delta. Just a fucking awesome guy. Got out in 2000, contracted, ran a project in Israel for 5 years. I mean, just a real warrior, you know what I mean? And we talk about this all the time. So guys will come into the store. I love my veterans. They'll come into the store, though, and they'll be like, yeah, you know, I was 21 years Marine Corps, did this and did that and did this. I was like, what are you doing now? He's like, I'm retired. I said, well, what is your knowledge? He's like, dude, I'm so outdated, I don't know. I love that, right? Then you get the guys that are like, I know everything. Well, let me tell you, I'm going to give you an example, and I am going to use someone's name in this. They'll probably get mad, whatever. Johnny can spank me later.
No.
The T-Rex tactical guy or whatever. Hey, look, I get it, man. You're a fast shooter. You're fucking really fast. You can draw like a motherfucker. You can shoot, you know. Maybe you don't show all your blooper videos. I'm just saying. But my fat ass is not as fast as I used to be. It isn't. It just isn't. I got stabbed, actually. I didn't tell you all that, in the neck by a K-bar when I got out of the Marine Corps. So I was completely paralyzed for a while. He was high on meth, right? Anyways, so I can't do the same things I physically used to do. So what you have to do is you have to leverage and find the skill sets that you can still apply, right? My brain still fucking works. I have a wealth of knowledge that maybe 0.25% of the world will ever have. And so that's why when you see my lives, I don't talk about drawing. I don't talk about shooting and shot placement. You can go find somebody that's going to be great at that. I'm going to talk about the mindset. You know, I'm going to talk about what it takes to pull that trigger, what it takes to draw that gun and end someone's life. You know, those are the type of things that I can end all say I'm a subject matter expert on. You know what I mean? And that's what these guys are missing. That's what these guys are missing nowadays. They're living in the past. They're not living in what they can do right now. And what I can do right now is give people information that's in my brain. I can't go out there and run and jump and fucking do backflips and shoot between my legs and hold my dick at the same time. It ain't happening.
You know, it's funny you say that. Two things come to mind. One, if you're a product of any of Real World Tactical's courses or his training, and I like to think his training is some of the best in the country, I'll be the first to say, Tony will tell you this, I don't give a fuck about shoot fast guys. When you're in this is exactly his words, when you're in a fucking gunfight and the bullets start flying, shooting fast goes out the window. And he's like, it doesn't fucking matter. He's like, I've been in downtown Hialeah with rounds flying at me. He's like, you are pinned behind a wheel well saying your prayers. He's like, I don't give a fuck how tough or how nuts you think you are. And he's like, I don't know how being a shoot fast guy is going to help you in that equation. So I don't bag on people. I really don't, and I know you're not. I don't waste my time. I just say, being a shoot fast guy looks good on video, but I'm not sure. I haven't figured out yet in a tactical setting where that skill truly fits in, unless you're going to draw down on somebody and commit cold-blooded murder.
The thing is when you have a gun pointing at a target, in my opinion, it's a very different feeling.
Yes.
To when it's pointed at a human being.
9 times out of 10, the altercation is going to start very, very differently. And I think in the civilian world, in the urban environment, which is where a lot of my training stems from, whether it was through SIG, through, one of the best compliments I ever got is Tony said, nobody has more pieces of paper here than John. And Sam has an idea of where I've trained and who I've trained with. I've trained at a lot of
pieces of paper.
I've trained at a lot of places with a lot of people.
Not talking about parking tickets, man.
Yeah, and I'll be the first to tell anybody, in an urban environment, it's probably going to start with an altercation, and it's probably going to lead to something else. So the second point that kind of comes to mind from that is, I think that in social media, and this just happens in general, we glamorize things, and I think a lot of things get glamorized, and sometimes it's for the wrong reasons, and we put these false gods, so to speak, on pedestals. There's a lot of things I don't talk about. Yes, I've been in bar fights. I've got stitches. I've been through my share of bullshit. I played football at a Division I level. I get it. I totally get it. I understand completely that mindset, but I think we glamorize things, and I think people have skill sets that they put out there that aren't necessarily always the best tactics or the soundest things. And then there's a lot of instructors that put stuff out there that they shouldn't, and they put public, and they put a lot of trade secrets out there. So I think social media is always going to be rampant. And one of the things that I've harped on in my lives, Phil, and you can expand on it, is be careful who you glamorize. Be careful who you throw your weight behind in your support, because I think we both can attest the likes, the comments, the support that people give, it doesn't go unnoticed. I almost read every single comment. And I think sometimes when people say, oh, gee whiz, he shoots really fast, whoever it is, I think, you got to understand something. If you're going to live in that world, and we always talk about staying in your lane, right? If you're going to live in that shoot first fast world, then grab your nuts and go call Max Michel and go compete against him. That's that. You know what I mean? I compete in the world of business. That's where I live. So I made the determination a long time ago to be a CEO of a rifle company. That's where I play.
Same.
No, hey, I agree 100%, bro. And here's the thing, like you hit the nail on the head with it. Is or Ryan, I think, is who the one that said it. But when you're holding a gun at a piece of paper, that shit ain't shooting back at you, man. There are times that you may need to shoot fast. I mean, I've been in those situations.
Oops.
You just lost your live.
I'm gonna put it back. It just ran out of time.
We're gonna fix it. Keep going. We're
Unfuck yourself.
It just the hour ran out. Go ahead.
No, but so they get this ideal in their head that because I have a gun and I can shoot fast, that I'm dangerous. But let me tell you, you're really not dangerous if that's your mindset. Let me put this back on. I'll finish. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, and it stems into my love of fitness. Just come in and I'll send you an invite. It comes back to my love of fitness.
Well, let me finish, John.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
So, no worries. Okay. So you're sitting there, right? I'll give you a quick experience. I was with 3.5 Kilo when I was in Afghanistan, right? So I'm going to talk about my experience here because that's what I have, right? It's not making me today, but it's something I can correlate and give you all an analogy on. I'm running a covert OP, so I got 6 scout snipers and 4 Marines. There's 26 of us leaving the wire, 10 of us staying in this compound we were taking over. We go in, 26 of us, 16 leave, right? Low light, they don't count, is what you're hoping for. You stay in there. Well, one of my guys, got into it, and it was north of us. There was a colonel there, and an Afghan, he came up with a rock and was going to bash him in the head. Yes, he had to draw and shoot fast, and it was like 2 feet away, okay? But if your brain can't process that information and can't understand that that's a human being you're about to end, you're not going to be able to do it. I don't give a fuck how fast you shoot paper.
Yep.
Amen. I mean, honestly, you touch on so many points in that one little story that it's tough to wrap, the normal person to wrap their head around. But it's absolutely right. And somebody touched on the point. There needs to be more scenario-based training. There needs to be more training. I mean, yes, you cannot go to a range and train in a way that you can just shoot at another person. We all know that, that's not real. But you can get into scenarios where it forces folks to think and it forces folks to move and think and do things. And that's part of the reason why I gravitated so much towards that high intensity training where your body's under stress and duress and you're simulating a lot of those instances. So you get a real actual, I'll say this, I would like to see some of the quote unquote, and I've done this, JJ Racaza stepped up and did this with Tony and I down in Vegas. I'd like to see some of the shoot fast guys get into scenarios where they've run around a range and done training for about 3-4 hours in the Miami heat, and then they're asked to make decisions and process and shoot. I'd like to see how that kind of plays out.
You know what, John? Hey, tell Falcor to open up their fucking pocketbook. I'll go out to Marine Corps Base 29 Palms. My friend's the base general, Roger Turner. He's the modern day Mattis, right? Served with them. I'll get them to let us use one of their mount towns. Let's invite the fast shooters, and I'll get some basic ass boot Marines to run against them and see how that goes.
That's a great
Let's
point.
fucking do it.
No, it's a great point.
I'll put $1,000. I'll put $1,000 on every fast shooter that beats my boys.
Yeah, well, you'd have to take it to IG. You know what I mean?
Money where your mouth is.
Yeah, this isn't the forum. That may be the forum to put it. Yeah, I mean that's something that we could definitely get behind.
You want to make money? Let's do it.
I'll tell you the X factor in it, Phil, and I think you'll agree. And this is the only way it would work, is if we could get them to commit to us being allowed to film it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because look, if we're gonna put some bucks up, you and I and Falcor, and I'll put my own money up. You want to be able to make a buck back on it, right? And I guarantee none of them will sign on the line to say, yes, you can record this.
Not one of them. I know, dude. They don't post their blue bloopers. They don't post their missed shots. They don't do that.
Yeah.
They don't fucking do it. They don't have a live stream with their camera on the target.
That's
they don't
a
do
good
it
point.
because guess what? I can throw let down range fast, but they ain't gonna hit shit.
Absolutely. So
I mean, look. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say we've covered a million topics. I wanna bring it back to business a little bit, and I want to kind of touch on it. I know you're running around doing a capital campaign. Sergeant Max is looking to take over.
Starting October.
Where do you guys want to put your second location?
Where do you
Still in
want to put your
Texas
second
or in
location?
the Flathead Valley, Montana.
Where can people?
Well, so I look at it as not a real estate play. I go for strip malls, okay? Because the farm industry is volatile, and I don't want to tie liquidity up in real estate. So I think a booming city in Texas right now is going to be San Antonio. There is a lot of money in energy that is being pushed over there because the pipeline business. I have some friends there. I get a good insight on it. And these guys have money. They work hard. They play hard. They want the Gucci shit. These guys are making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $1 million a year. They don't have time to go find a good gun store. We want to get over there. So San Antonio is our next spot, hopefully. It's a far stretch. So I looked at putting one closer to Houston. Problem is I have some friends here, and I'm a loyal motherfucker. So I don't want to go crush their store. Guys, I will if I come up there. So I'm going to give them the chance to build their brands. And I'm going to go to San Antonio, and I'm going to eat it up out there. So, yeah, October 1st, I'm going to hit the road. We're going to raise some capital for a store in San Antonio.
I love your attitude about that.
I love it.
It's like, I'm your friend. I don't want to fucking crush you. Please don't make me do this.
Don't make me do it.
Yes, exactly.
But let me, we're coming up on an hour, so I want to hit a couple points home. Where do you, as a guy who's been there, done that, told his story, he's crushing it now, where do you want to see the tactical industry go to? What's your dream scenario? What type of maturity do you want to see come over the 2A industry?
Okay, so being a veteran, I'd love to see veterans start tapping into their skill set, okay? With that being said, I'm very, very, very plugged into the law enforcement community here, okay? And there's a big gap that needs to be bridged there. They're also a big demographic. They also spend a lot of money, and you have to get them in to spend money. They're harder than the veteran to spend money. It is harder to get them to spend the money. And we need to bridge that gap because you have two different types of tactics. Well, three really right now. You have combat tactics, you have law enforcement tactics, and you have self-defense tactics, okay? And there's no bridge between them. So what we have to do is get some key players in industry, put them together, tell them put their fucking egos at the door because all these shooters have giant egos. They can't even fucking walk in the room. They wouldn't fit on the screen right now, okay? So we got to put that shit aside and get down there and build some training regiments that are across the board. A guy wants to shoot and protect his family, be able to help a law enforcement officer if he sees him down on the fucking freeway getting shot at. Or if God happens, the Dems fucking try and take my guns, we got to stand the fuck up. I want people to know how to get in some combat, We got to bridge these gaps between the different types of tactics. Like I said, I think there's three, and I'm going to hit them one more time. Law enforcement, combat, and self-defense. And you see my fingers? There's nothing connecting them. That's exactly how the industry is right now. We need to put some bridges there.
On a deeper level, what would you like to see change the most, at least on a social media level?
I would like to see some transparency in these videos. I'd like to see some authenticity because a lot of these guys are doing this to make money. They're not doing it to help people. I love making money. You see this fucking Junos here, dude? That shit tingles when I see a penny on the ground, okay? Straight up. But be real, be transparent, be passionate about it.
There's nothing wrong with making money, but you can also be real where you're doing it.
Exactly. And just care, give a fuck, be authentic. You want to help people learn a skill set that is going to continue the way of our life when we're long and gone, man. When they're saying John Bortolo, he's a great guy, talking about his 20 years, they're saying Sergeant Max, great guy, 20 years and I'm fucking dead, I want them to say they helped bridge the gap. So now I'm a well-rounded tactician.
That's well put. And to kind of wrap up a little bit, where can people find you? Where can people contact you? What are all your ats and different sources of media?
Okay, so we have Instagram, Sergeant Max Gun Shack. We have our website, www.sergeantmax.com. Facebook, Sergeant Max Gun Shack. All of our information is on the Instagram. It's our most used platform. I did just acquire another page for marketing. That's what I really love in the business. So I'm going to be pushing that hard. Marketing stores, helping them grow their brand and understand that they have to be authentic to grow that brand. But those are the places to hit me up. I answer every DM. It takes me a little bit sometimes when I get a fuck ton of them. But yeah, I mean,
1,700 in a day.
Hit me up anytime. Dude, that pissed a lot of people off yesterday burning those Nikes. God, I hate mail.
Oh no. So you've said it all. You've touched on a lot of points. I appreciate you having you on, and I'll be straight with you, Phil. We've known each other now for, we've chatted a bit, a month, or so. I consider you a friend. It's been great having you on. You're invited anytime up to the building in Kalispell for a tour. I'm gonna get down to Houston. You have my word, and I'm gonna spend some time with you. I'm looking forward to it. I thank you sincerely for coming on and sharing your story. I think it's one that has to get out there. I think you're doing great things. I think you're going to crush it no matter what you touch because you have the right mindset. I can't, say enough about the things that you're doing in the community. I think that's fair to say, in the veteran community, and with a lot of those folks. I look at you and Tank sometimes like, you guys have patience for days to spend the time with the folks. And I do my best I can with the business owners, that, but I can't hold a candle to you guys. I get people that ask me all the time to kind of give advice and do a forum and this and that. And the best way I find to bring awareness is through some of the giveaways and some of the different things. So with that being said, I thank you for coming on, and I appreciate your friendship.
John, I absolutely appreciate your friendship, a little mentorship, some guidance, some insight to the industry. I appreciate having me here, help me, give me a platform. Second, definitely bring your party pants when you come to Houston, boy, because we're going to have a good time.
Absolutely. And we'll crush it.
Yeah, we'll crush a lot of things. But with that being said, guys, I appreciate it. You know where to find me. Just keep doing what you're doing. The haters only mean you're getting the platform and you're pissing people off. When you piss people off, you're doing the right thing.
Absolutely. Thank you, and I want to remind every listener to head over to YouTube, like and subscribe, tap that little bell in the corner for notifications. Make sure you head over to iTunes and leave reviews. We need everybody. It's a capital campaign for us. We're trying to get as many reviews as we can. 5 stars is greatly appreciated. That's on Apple iTunes. We will be coming to Stitcher very, very shortly. It's something Derek's working on. As well as SoundCloud. I know that's something everybody wants. Please take a moment to share Phil's story with anybody you see fit. Put it on your Facebook, put it on your IG, put, as much of this stuff in your stories as you can. I know he's going to be sharing it out there into the different, social interwebs. Head over to Blue Line Tactical. I want to thank them for donating some shirts. We're going to pick a few winners at the end of this that'll get some T-shirts, some Falcor shirts. And I appreciate everybody for taking the time to listen to Phil's story. This will be up on iTunes in about a week, I'm sure, and we'll get Phil the link. He'll be able to share it to his partners and everybody on his platforms. I want to thank D. Mitchell Designs, Austin Web Designs, everybody here in the booth, Melinda and Jason for giving us the forum to do this, and I can't thank Kenzie's Optics enough for sponsoring, as well as 221B Tactical. So I thank everybody out there. Yes. Well, Wesley Snipes himself for sponsoring this podcast. We thank you, Phil, again, and everybody go support Sergeant Max Gun Shack.